Well, good evening, everyone. It's your host, Sergeant Friday. Just fumbling around with different screens and things I had available. I figured I'd toss this one up here. And let's see how this works out here. Should be live in a couple of different locations. And let's see if the screen, this thing on the screen shows up on. There we go. There we go. Those are some words to live by coming from a movie and a TV series. But those are the words I try to follow. Not specifically those words, but that concept, the concept of facts. And instead of the drama, which seems to be the most significant thing that people pay attention to. Kind of sad, really, but it really seems to be what really see Israel there. I want to see what we're doing over here on X. I'm getting more better in calling it X than I instead of referring to it as Twitter. Twitter. So let's see here. Start the show off. We got Heather Fitzgerald. Oh my God. I had some fun today in Dago's stream. And it was quite interesting as far as I can. I had to get the hell out of there. I had to take my money and run. That was what had to happen there. What's up there, Franklin Murray? But I did I don't know if you were in there, Heather, but I did get shot down on a couple of points, and then the same person over a short period of time came back and showed that I was right to begin with, and didn't even realize that's what they did. I thought that was kind of humorous, and that was funny. I was wrong. I was wrong clearly twice, only later to find out that person that was showing that I was wrong came and clarified that I was right. It was just fucking. I had to get out of there. It was like and who's smarter than you? Fucking I am. Okay, for the most part, me. All right, and just trust in that until I'm not, or until you see evidence that I'm not. I was wrong about there being blood on the sheath, and I was wrong about the buccal swab of the snap part of the button. I was wrong, and then as the person read further into the documents, it came to be that I was right, and I've been right the whole time. Listen, I reported the true crime through Dago's channel more than 2 years ago that there were 3 locations on the snap that the police swabbed. One was the button snap, one was the sheath, and the other was inside the sheath. Now, the only error in that statement was inside the sheath. It really was inside the belt loop, which is still part of the sheath, right? It's all in one. But I reported that 2 years ago from documents that I produced. And I called Jules of all trades started having a period out of her ears. And that period then moved out of her mouth. And she got up on a channel and started talking shit about me, calling me a liar and a conspiracy theorist. And that filthy period fucking leaking bitch. Huh? Do you think she's out there saying old Sergeant Friday had it right the first time and I should never have attacked him? No. Why would she do that? She's drowning in her own stupidity. It's just fucking insane, man. What up there, Franklin? Yeah, I mean, these people are incredible. I enjoy being corrected. I'm the first one to admit. The easiest path to an education is you admit you're wrong. You have to recognize you're wrong in something. And look at what I also thought funny was it appears to me, and I could be wrong, but my little buddy Willie that I never really buddied up to because of how he got involved in true crime, with his connection to the family, how I ignored that fucking guy because that was his motive of getting in here. That was how he got his attention. he's in there kind of laughing when this person, and I'm not going to mention who the person is, but that person is correcting me in no uncertain terms and showing just how wrong I was. And then later, as everybody getting their laughs, old Sarge was put in his place. Then later, that same person starts reading from documents that shows I was 100% right. And then they want to argue whether they told me I was wrong to begin with or not. I was like, I got to go. I'm going to go out to eat today. I ain't cooking home. I ain't got time for it. I'm going to go out to eat. You all be good. And that, good little old good Willie. Because, Willie's a thinker. Willie's like a broad. He pays attention to the drama. Sorry, ladies, but, it is true. You do love the drama. However, I got to admit, a lot of the men love the drama too. Maybe as many as the women, but to be determined. I just think to myself, what the fuck, man? And then I don't know. I just find it fucking insane. Right? I mean, I don't have any horse in these races. I'm really out here trying to understand and share what I understand with people. I don't know any of you fucking people. I know Franklin. But it's just amusing to me because let me just say I mean this when I say I love when people both hate and love me. To me, those emotions are just so fucking directly connected that the difference isn't worth being upset about. So I really don't object to people hating me. That takes as much commitment to hate as it does to love. So I say have at it. But I'm just stunned. And I don't know. I could see if people corrected my memory in the 2.5 years I've been here. It's been a handful of times, and I love when people can show where I've either made a mistake or made an inaccurate assessment. That's fantastic, but it doesn't happen that often, and that's not really being a braggart. It's just true. And I was perplexed when I was in Dago's stream earlier, and I was wrong. There was no blood on the sheath, and then later she reads they found blood on the sheath. I was like, damn. And then I like that thing with Jules. I want to bring that up. I mean, it's offensive how that woman degraded me, called me names, made me look stupid, and acted like she was some superior being. And believe me, this happens a lot with different people out here. And they all end up being humbled by Sarge because Sarge don't really come off the cuff wrong. And when I do, I don't have a problem admitting it. But it has to be something like I don't know, man. That was just fucking funny. I went on that stream and I enjoy this person's analysis, to be very honest with you. But I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. I don't trust the analysis anymore. When facts that were on the record that I had taken my facts from, and I'm not like most people, man. I don't keep all these fucking notes. I don't keep all of these files. I read and retain it. And on the rare occasion that my recollection of it is inaccurate, fair enough. However, well, Frank can tell you this. We went through 3 years of a political persecution, and I could quote date, times, what hearing, who said it, what was said. And and that's not. I'm not trying to brag. That's just something I was gifted with, or something that I've maybe not even gifted with. Something I've really worked to obtain my whole life. I don't know. But when I say there was blood on the knife sheath, or presumptive blood on a knife sheath, and you tell me no, I would make that shit up just to get people's attention. And you should have if you were watching the chat room like I tend to do on other people's streams when I'm a guest. Well, you would have seen people in the stream saying, "What? I never heard about blood on a knife sheath." And do you know why you never heard about blood on the knife sheath? Because people pay attention to the drama. Did you see how Hitler was treating Anne? Did you see Hitler doing what he was doing? Did you see what he said? Did you hear what he said? Did you watch how he? You people are fucked up out here, man. I need to remind myself just how fucked up the people are out here on social media. Holy Christ. Unfucking believable. Thanks, Franklin. Unfucking believable just how fucked up people are out here, man. Unbelievable. It's, when I say, and I don't care what anybody says, because you're wrong. There were 8 DNA samples at that crime scene, minus 1. Minus 1. I'm sorry. Wait. 1, 2. That's 5. So, yeah. There were 8 DNAs. None of them were, one of them was Koberger. 7 other DNAs that had nothing to do with Koberger at that crime scene. Railing. Glove. Inside of the glove that they never mentioned, they never said they tested, never even swabbed from what we know. But inside the glove, blood on the glove, the railing, 3 under the poor victim's fingernails, the knife sheath, and the button snap. There's a whole shitload of DNA in that crime scene. And yet, and then yesterday, the acquiescence of the defense to the IGG being called a tip, they acquiesced to that. The fact that Hitler, for the most part, for the majority of the hearing, his rulings did not favor the defense at all. You know what I mean? It's like someone saying I robbed you as I'm calling you a stupid motherfucker and I'm handing you your change back. All you pay attention to is me calling him a stupid motherfucker. You missed the sleight of hand. He gave me 100. He spent 20, and I handed him 80. And while doing that, I call him a stupid motherfucker. And all you people take away from that is me calling this guy a stupid motherfucker? For the love of God, please, somebody come down to earth and help us. I fucking pray there's a real I want Bigfoot to fucking present himself to the TV cameras and UFOs and all that. Something has to happen. So, these fucking lunatics out here that only pay attention to drama. Something that the moon is fucking flat. The earth is fucking flat. We live in a fucking firmament. Somebody's lunatics out here. They need to come forward with some factual information to show that they're accurate. And I'm hoping and praying the impossible happens and something fucking shows up to give these people a little hope, because it's completely amazing to me. And I don't know. I wasn't even going to stream tonight, but I was just sitting here thinking to myself, how can somebody tell me these things that I was wrong, and then tell me that my interpretation of something that was written and then read on the stream was wrong, and then turn and read the documentation, and the documentation supports me, and I was right, and then they act like that we never had that conversation to begin with. No, we were never talking about blood on a sheet. Yeah, we were. I'm sorry. Listen, I think I elicit that kind of behavior from people. Let me be very clear. I think that this I do it to others too. You take a dislike or you take a contrary opinion to something because, you're just about fucking tired of them being right all the time. I get it. And so, and once you catch someone out like that, and there was one guy in here the other day, I don't know if he's welcome to come back in, crying that I didn't really acquiesce well enough for him on a glove. So the kid was wearing a glove. But do we know what kind of glove was found at the crime scene? Yeah, I misinterpreted it to be gloves. Turned out to be a single glove. Turned out someone at the Banfield had a glove on. But was the glove found at the crime scene? Was it a surgical glove? Was it a dishwashing glove? Was it a winter glove? Was it a leather glove? Was it a driving glove? Was it what kind of glove was it? We don't know. So to just automatically imply that glove that kid was wearing could be the other half of the glove that they found, well, you need to know what kind of glove they found before you can make that leap. So, it is, a glove is a glove is a glove, right? What? It's not. It doesn't work like that. I think at this point, to be very, very fair, is Hitler's doing all he can within the bounds of the law. And even though he doesn't have, he's, you don't even know. I'm telling you, it gets frustrating. I'm sure Hitler has a similar fucking point of the fucking world as I do. looking out at it. You get tired of people making fucking arguments and points based on bullshit. And then you have to keep pointing it out to them. And then they get frustrated. And then you become the fucking know-it-all. The guy that's you get labeled with this fucking, you're an idiot, you're an asshole, you always got to be right. Well, when you're fucking right, you're right. And too bad. I mean, suck it up. How about if you try to learn it from it when people are right? How about if you learn from them people instead of trying to fucking do whatever people do? It's just shocking to me. No, I don't see that at all, Norma. I think people are paying too much to the drama. They really are. I mean, I think he acts in a way that's somewhat human if you think about it. I mean, Brian Koberger, that's the best thing about this trial. The one thing that's unusual is Brian Koberger's reactions. Nobody talks about that. Judge Hippler gets a little bit of fucking, I would say, a craw in his hair, but he ain't got no hair. But Judge Hippler, okay. But that's a perfect example of what I'm trying to say to people when I bring up Koberger. Look how this guy reacts, man. I'm just saying, Hippler reacts like a person. You could see the reactions from the defense team. You could see the reactions among Koberger's lawyer. And he's sitting there like a fucking statue, like he was cast in bronze. Listen, folks, it's what the ruling is and how it applies to the presentation of the defense and the prosecution. That's all that these hearings matter on. Yet every single fucking person's out there. Hitler's compromised. Hitler's against Koberger. Hitler's this. Hitler's that. Did you see him do this? Did you hear how he treated Ann? Did you? Maybe he's gay and he just don't like women. Now what? He can't be a judge? Well, apparently you're wrong because he is. I don't know what his attitude is or his issue. I don't really give a fuck. But when his rulings come right down the middle, and he's splitting the hair 50-50, that's fair. No, he's an autist. Autistic. He's not an incel. He's autistic. Who is smarter than me? Well, it wouldn't be very smart for me to list them, would it, Dan or Dustin? Who is smarter than me? Says Dustin Miller. We'll have to put that one up there on the screen. I don't know. Maybe Frank Murray. Frank is pretty fucking smart. Heather says she's smarter than me. She could be. She could be. And look at any one of you out here could be. I think the odds are stacked against you. But, give it a fucking whirl. What can I say? Where's Frank? Is he on X here? Franklin, I got to open up the chat. So bear with me here. How do I do that? Oh, there it is. Usually when I open chat on X, it also turns the volume on and I get reverberations. It didn't happen this time. Thank God. Heather could be smarter than me. I don't mind people. I actually admire people that are smarter than me. But I do want to say that you won't find many people that can recall from memory the things I'm able to recall from memory in the totality of this case. And my accuracy is probably 98%, 97%. I mean, I'm not perfect, but close enough to 100 that it's, I don't know. It's like hand grenades and atom bombs. Dylan Morrison saw Zana before going down to Bethany Funk's room. No. Yeah, you weren't correcting it, Mr. Miller. You were just pointing it out. Dylan Morrison saw Zana before going down to Bethany Funk's room. No, I didn't know that. Look at Carl. So before going down to the room. I don't know what that means, Heather. And people, on the floor? Where on the floor? In her bedroom? Where did she see her? You're welcome to come in and tell your story. Yeah, my title says, who's smarter than you? I am. That's who. And I listen, folks, I could demonstrate that in so many different ways in my life, and how I've done all my dumb in the first 28 years, and I fucking got rid of it. Fair enough. So here's what I'll say. I'll give people 28 and under a discount credit on the fucking intelligence thing, but Norma, I didn't see anything else you may have said or what you're replying to, Norma. I don't know what you're replying to. It is nothing. Look at the car's a red herring. The car's a red herring, folks. The knife is probably a red herring, but for sure the car is a bunch of bullshit. It doesn't make this narrative make any more sense. It doesn't make it make any sense. It doesn't make Brian Koberger the perpetrator. It's nonsense. It's gobbledygook. And that's how it goes. You know, there's reason, I guess, to take a dislike to Judge Hippler, but don't let that dislike cloud the information that's being spewed out of the mouth of the courtroom, his and everybody else's. I mean, even I was made aware today, and somebody needs to put in context how she saw Zaina. She saw Zaina where? Where did she see Zaina? I mean, let me think here. Dylan Moore's just before going down to Bethany's Funk's room. So where did she see Zaina? The traffic stop. Whose traffic stop? Prior to the night in question. Whose traffic stop? We're welcoming the world renowned Dago.
Hello.
Who is now here? I was maybe it was good you came in a few minutes late.
Sorry, I was watching a.
No. You great respect that you're hanging out with your grandkids. Mine, I just throw money at and make them go away.
I don't have the money to throw at mine, otherwise I would do the same. I'm just kidding.
Throw change; it starts to set up a pattern.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, sir.
I was just ranting on about not ranting on, maybe ranting on, but how earlier today I was on a stream where I was told there was no blood on the sheath, and my interpretation of the swabbing was wrong. Only for the same person to read that there was in fact blood on the sheath, and the swabbing I described was accurate.
Right.
I just found that to be shocking, and then argued that it was never. And I respect Miss Potts a lot. I like listening. I listen to her stuff. It's on my playlist. I was rather stunned and humbled. I mean, and to the point where okay, I'm wrong. And then later on, she presented the information that showed I was never wrong to begin with.
I think she may have, because she's always doing so much, may have misconstrued what you said, because that was kind of shocking. I agree.
Well, you know, but it's nice it was clarified. It's not a matter of being right or wrong. It was I accepted that there wasn't blood on the sheet because I'm trying to remember where I saw it, and it's usually because I read something somewhere,
right?
And then obviously that's where it came from because she read the document that had made that statement. So yeah, that was interesting to me.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know, no points against her or anything, but I got a kick out of Willie while she was telling me I was wrong, and then him chuckling to himself, and then it all came out the other way.
Right.
Oh yeah, red DNA male unknown, not EC and not BK. Correct. Yep, Heather. We clarified it in the stream. So, well, she clarified it, which was, and she's and that's why I tease her about the word law instead of law.
Law,
because she is a very smart person. There's no question about it.
She's great. I
like her take on some of these things, man. What's that?
She's great with these documents and understanding and reading through and deciphering them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think she puts a take on them that seems pretty decent most times.
Yeah,
I think I don't think it's normal for someone to have the kind of memory I have. So that's just
it's really not
maybe, right?
I don't know many people that do have that memory.
I don't think it's fair.
It's a steel trap.
Be like challenging Carl Ferguson to a battle of wits, knowing that the minute I offer the challenge, he's an unarmed fucking opponent. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Good old car. So what came out after I had left? Anything?
Not really. No, we were pretty much done at that point. We just kind of chopped it up a little bit more, and that was really it. I'm trying to remember when you left and what else we did toward. Oh, we went over. We found proof about AT&T. The whole statement from Cyre stating where they what Hitler said about why isn't he paying attention to the 7-day thing? The 7 days, 7 days, 7 days. Well, that's because it didn't exist. It's 7 years, Sarge. We pulled up the chart, we pulled up all their info, and it is literally 7 years. So it's either a typo or they completely lied. So
Or no, it's a misunderstanding because listen, you saw what happened today on your stream where two people or several people see the same information and interpret it opposite or differently.
right.
So there was no real argument or disagreement. It's got nothing to do with anybody's intelligence. But when I read the document, I understood it as I understood it. When she read the document, she understood it in a different way. Right? And I think you're seeing Hitler do the same thing.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that was a blatant, like he read into what Cy said about the whole GLDC thing for AT&T, only holding on to that information for 7 days. Well, the point was that they went around the GLDC, used a different source, and had that information, and tried to claim that they didn't because of the 7 days. So that's where the problem lies within that.
Right, showing that the defense is misrepresented its information to the court. That's either a lie or just an inaccurate, a mistake.
Completely, yeah. And if and the point with what we found today was they could have used either way. They could have used the GLDC, which didn't really exist at that point because they had it for up to 7 years, or they used the other gentleman's name, and that's what I believe they did, and had the information regardless. So,
right. Yeah, I don't gotta like any of the people involved. But here was what I was saying before you came in. Judge Hitler and the lawyers present you with how average individuals react to situations. And nobody seems to be realizing Brian doesn't react to them at all and never has.
Right.
So you see Hitler get argumentative against Anne, right?
Right.
You don't see Brian Kohlberger shuffling in his seat or paying better attention or whispering to he doesn't do any of that.
No. Well,
I mean, that I think Hitler needs to take into consideration. Maybe he needs to watch a few of these hearings that weren't even hearings in his courtroom. Go look at Judge's hearings.
Well, I think that's what Alyssa Masseth was pointing out to him, that based on his the ASD, that is why Brian does what he does, why he doesn't look around, why he doesn't fidget, or why he sits in one place and doesn't move the whole time, is based on because he has ASD. And that's where I think she got into his head a little bit with that. So
I'm relatively sure that he's going to rule that needs to be an instruction the jury is made aware of.
I do agree with you on that full-heartedly.
And I don't know where he came down on the Cyre issue, but I don't think that. Has he made a ruling on that?
No, it was left kind of in the balance per se. I can't remember exact words, but he heard what was said and basically told her, it's your responsibility to make this right per se, and lack of, in his own words. But at the same time, she said Cy is here and will testify, blah blah blah, but they never went that far with it. So I don't know what's going to happen at that point.
Yeah, I think once the facts are clarified to him, and I think there's been some facts communicated by the defense that have been wrong, and she keeps making the argument, and that may be one of that may be what irritates him to some extent. Like when it came to the date of the expansion of the years on the car,
right?
And how Anna's insisting that happened only after they identified Brian,
right?
And an email shows that that's completely not true.
Yeah. I mean, that's what she was inferring, unless she misspoke what she was trying to say, but I don't think she did.
Defense has filed its exhibit in support today.
Yeah, I think I was going to tell you.
for the timing advance. So, in support of the GLDC records that they're going to use, Heather?
Wait a minute. Let me see.
I don't know why they would be any different. And the GLDC records will prove their argument that these people had that information before GLDC was even stood up.
Good point.
I say the records that did not come from the GLDC will be verified by the GLDC.
Which one was it, Heather? Which document was it on? Oh, here it is. Notice of filing supplemental affidavit in support of state's response to defendant's motion in limine number 5, inconclusive data. Yeah, there's new documents already. We got woo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, I think. Don't quote me. But there's new ones in here already.
And remember, this stream is so serious, ladies, that the more attractive your avatar, the easier it is to get your face on the screen. There you go.
Oh, here it is. I see it now. The affidavit for Gustav and Sons. Oh, okay. This is a forensic biologist, I'm guessing. Or is that nope? All right, Heather, help me out here. I'm not good with these documents.
You want to present it?
Yeah, I'll show you this one. Hold on here. One moment. Let me move these things around. Move this over here. Close this out.
I'm on the spectrum as well, Lenore. But the difference with me was I was homeless at 14, and so I had to make my way in the world in a way that most people with spectrum are protected from. So for me, I had to, and that's why I've got a sense of humor and why I'm always saying some goofy shit, is to elicit laughs from people, because it's not only just a distraction, but it's also a way to interact with them.
Yes, sir. There it is. Pull that up from backstage.
Add to stage. Let me get this hide current comment. All right.
That's one of them. One of the new ones. Can you see it all right, Sarge?
Yeah, we don't want to see he holds a doctorate degree. We don't really.
No, none of that matters.
Yeah, I was a jailhouse lawyer. I was pretty good when I was there.
I can believe that.
No degree, unless it was deodorant.
Jesus. So this is the human DNA testing forensic applications. There's a lot of pages here. Following extraction using the current generation of commercial DNA quantitation kits, e.g. I can't pull things out of there. Oh, maybe I can, Heather. You know what? Let me pull that one instead, Sarge. Hold on.
Yeah. Dago's on documents tonight. He's tech support, and he isn't, literally is not a third world tech support master, of which we're known to use.
I am definitely the opposite of that.
Did you know a toilet seat could also be a lunch table?
Oh, what did you say?
A toilet seat could also be a lunch table.
It can. It can.
Yes, you take the part where you put your ass, right? So you got the toilet seat on the table. It's open the box, take it out. The part that your ass sits on, you hang over, you put your head through it, you hang it around your neck, and then the part that's the back of the seat stays out flat. And so you have a ready-made lunch table.
All right, go ahead and throw that up there. Sorry, Sarge. Thank you, Heather.
Add to stage.
Okay, so there we go. All right, so this again, stipulated motion to seal the defendant's Exhibit 4 in support of their objection to the state's motion in limine, re the timing advance records.
So this was just filed today?
Believe, yesterday.
8th day of April, yes.
2 days ago. Sorry.
2 days ago, okay.
And again, motion is made pursuant to ICAR 32I IC 74-1241B and C, because they are either previously already sealed or redacted for purposes of this motion. The court will need to see the full document. Therefore, non-redacted copies are being filed under seal. We've already seen it. It's been sealed, obviously. They don't want you to see any more of it, but it's too late. So, and I'm looking. Motion to
Heather,
seal
I didn't know
defendant's
her mother
report.
passed away. Did you know that Ann's mother passed away a couple of weeks ago?
I did not know.
I did
I'm
not
sorry to
either.
hear that.
Yeah.
Well, so that is the state's response to that, per se. I am not 100% sure of how this is going to be related. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with this. I was trying to read him.
Don't yell, not 14, only 4 days ago. You're the one that served the information of 14 days, you misinformation dealer. Dago.
I didn't say that. I said this was on the.
No, I'm talking to Heather on the screen.
Oh, sorry.
It wasn't 14 days ago. She passed away 4 days ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That's
sad. She changed it up, yeah.
Yeah, she fixed it.
Well, that's I mean,
and now she's swearing. Look at that.
It was an effing typo.
Let me ask you. Tell me that doesn't look like a weird eyeball in her avatar.
It does a little bit, yeah.
It does. It does. She claims it's an eclipse or something. She's got some story. There's something freaky going on with her. Probably too. We don't really want to get that personal.
Heather's great. Yeah, it's pretty wild that she's here doing what she's doing, and she just buried her mother 4 days ago. That's sad, but I get it.
Hooked on the Brian Koberger case. She's addicted.
Yeah, it's okay, Contessa. There's a lot of us hooked on the case. Don't feel bad. It's normal. If you're in here. So that's that. That was that one there. Hang on. Right. There's a bunch of other docs. Not a bunch, but enough. Give me a minute.
All right. Who's this? And okay. Nothing half-assed. I think that the defense has a strong case to present on behalf of Brian Koberger, and it appears that the court, with what I've been exposed to in the hearings, and I saw most of it yesterday, appears to me the court is ruling in a way that's, and this is the thing, it's not supposed to be favorable to one side or the other. It's supposed to be favorable to the law as it exists. And that I think is exactly what Mr. Hippler's doing, like him or not.
Sure. I could go with that. Notice of filing, Exhibit D1 in support of objection to state's notice of intent to use 404B evidence.
What's 404B evidence? I should know what that is.
That is what you called, sir. One moment. That's why I'm bringing this one up for you. So there it is. Go ahead and pull that up. All right. Notice of filing, defendant's Exhibit D1 in support of objection. 2 states notice of intent to use IRE 404B evidence. Comes now, Brian C. Koberger, Brian, through his attorneys of record, and hereby submits Exhibit D1, the video of traffic stop, in support of their objection to the state's notice of intent to use IRE evidence. Copies will be hand-delivered to the court at the hearing. So,
this is where they were suggesting to use the traffic stop video from 23,
and they got their way. It looks
22.
like.
Yeah, and got their way. Yeah, he told us that in court. That's what I was trying. These are the things that people. The facts are what matters, not the guy's demeanor. And he's an ugly motherfucker anyway. He looks like someone that no one liked in high school.
Yeah, he reminds me of what's his name from the Harry Potter
movie. Got them beady fucking eyes and that bald, shiny ass head.
What the hell is that movie? Or that guy's name in the Harry Potter movies? Come on, you younger people.
Yeah, but he just does look like an outline. He looks like a kind of a weirdo. If you didn't know he was a judge, you'd think he was like some child fucking pervert.
I just don't like the way he sits there looking bored and irritated, arms crossed, across his chest, all that. Voldemort. There you go, Alicia.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to start calling him.
Because again, people, You'd have to sit in his shoes to see that you will become somebody that looks more favorable to the prosecution when actually you're just more critical of defense because you've had so many defense lawyers tell you shit that wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually, and I've said this prior to, but that came out yesterday when Eddie provided documents showing Hitler was right in the timeline versus Ann.
Oh yeah.
And imagine, and I get frustrated like that too. Like I was very frustrated today when I was told there was no blood in the sheath. And
I
the
know you
argument was
were.
made only for, listen, I accepted it because they came in with 1.1, the ABC. They came in with information that I wasn't, I had no issue with being wrong. I accepted it completely. But then when they read that there was, I was like, man, somebody grab me a hammer because I need to hit this person.
I think it was just misheard, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
I don't know, but
There
anyway,
was
my
a
point is that you get the level of frustration that a judge is
yes,
exposed to
yes,
is
agreed.
typically mostly from the defense. Not to say the prosecution doesn't give the judge fucking issues along the way,
Yeah,
but
that's evident based on how
yeah,
often everything they state, he argues it at first. So yeah.
yeah,
The link to Cyrog's first time that hemisphere is referenced in the testimony on May 30th, 24.
he is because that's really where you're catching a lot of the nonsense from on the end of from the defense.
Yes. UI plumber's wrench. Yeah, he's got to make sure that the defense is doing their job the right way and everybody sees it. I mean, I even saw his personality getting in front of what he was doing per se and kind of sat there irritated with him, but I know he's got to do his job, and that's what I try to explain.
Well, I for Ann to argue this thing about Brian being given the jury be given the understanding. I would put
Ye-
together a small video of court hearings and show
Oh,
the
well,
reaction to the participants in the hearing. In other words, you're supposed to be unbiased and unemotionally involved in your case.
mm-hmm.
You see Bill Thompson how he reacts
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a petulant child. Judge Hippler. You people acting and look at Mr. Kohlberger.
yeah,
No, that guy's literally like he was cast in bronze.
yeah.
And
It's
he's because of his autism, none of the emotional impacts hit him.
of course
He
not.
doesn't recognize them. They don't click a nerve in his body to put him in any
No,
kind of position.
and what the prosecution does is they sit there and pull well, see, look, he's cold, he's hard, he doesn't care, there's no emotion there. He's got
Right,
Asperger, he's on the autism spectrum, you
right.
ass. And
And
they're going
that's
to
why
use
the
that
jury
against
needs to know that.
right. 100%. And that speech that Massoth made, Alyssa Massoth, would be great for an opening argument. I agree with you. Absolutely amazing.
What is it?
The short dark haired woman for the defense team, when she got up and explained all of that about the ASD, I
Mm-hmm.
think that would be wonderful to work into the opening arguments because it would give them right out front the ideals to understand him in that sense. And then they can move on with everything else.
Right, and this
The
isn't an argument like his parents were abusive to him when he was a child. This is nothing even close to that. This is a medical condition, and it's
that and the
lifelong.
right. That
Right.
and
So
the dyspraxia both need to be put out in front.
correct. Correct. And so, we'll see. I don't think that Judge Hippler is going to rule against that, but again, we don't know until he does.
Right.
But I think basing it off his actions, his mannerisms, it's just he hasn't done that in other issues. He could have allowed that full video to be played of the traffic stop,
Mm-hmm.
which we know the prosecution would have then referred to show, just what a dispassionate person he is, and
Of course.
you know,
Well, we'll
and
see. Tomorrow's Friday, I think. Yeah, tomorrow's Friday. And that's usually a doc drop day. So we'll see what gets dropped if there's any
oh yeah,
rulings in
you're
those.
right. Yeah, it is a doc drop day on Fridays. That's what they do. They try to bury it on the weekend to ruin our weekends,
That's what they do.
forcing us
Tuesdays,
to look at
Fridays,
shit.
and Tuesdays is what I've been calling. Yeah. We'll see what we
So,
all get tomorrow. Maybe we'll get some of those rulings by tomorrow. I'm sure he's ruled on most of it by now.
oh
And the ones that he
my,
hasn't, we'll probably see by Tuesday.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Yeah, I do.
Do you know that he was never had a degree in anything scientific, nor did he teach science?
I heard that before.
Bill Nye, the science guy, and he would get up and lecture us about
Yeah. I heard he was
world,
just
world weather.
super interested in all that stuff and got overly involved in it, and that's where he came from.
No, mental. That could be argued. It's some levels it is like a mental illness,
Yeah, but they're
and their
trying to use it.
inabilities to interact.
They're trying to use it in a negative way with mental illness, Sarge. That's what she's getting at.
Yeah, I see what she's saying. Yeah, no,
And that's not what it was. It's not about that at all.
It's not a driver of crime.
No, not at all. If anything, it to my opinion, it leads towards innocence.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important for them to understand, but I also think that there's just nothing, and what is it that Thompson said? The only thing directly connecting Koberger is the DNA.
The DNA.
I mean, and so the judge, if I were a judge, I'd say, wait a minute, really? All of this for that, and yet there's 7 other samples you didn't even investigate. And here, really, this guy's been in jail for 3 years.
Were you in there when Annie or Miss Potts pointed out the fact that they didn't even do the way they got to? I think you had left already. She made a really interesting point on some stuff she found out that based on what she showed or what she came upon, that it doesn't even look to be that they did any work on that, Sarge. That they didn't.
They didn't.
Right. So you were in there. Okay.
No. It's that we've always known that. That's not like a revelation. We've always known
that the way that they got to it. The way they got to it wasn't from a tip. It wasn't from a tip. Okay. God damn it. You're going to have to go back and watch.
Where she's saying they backdoored the sample right into a server.
Yeah. Okay. You were there.
Well, no, but that's still, it's still considered a tip regardless of how they got his name.
Right.
Okay. They're arguing that it was a tip. They stipulated to it. Brian Koberger agreed to that. So regardless of whether they actually did IgG work or not, that question is forever not a part of this. It's over. In other words, the point she was making today about them backdooring it into a server directly with the sample they got from Othram or whatever, let's say they got a printout and they pushed it into a server as just an individual. Remember she was talking about skin cells and the other person said super something. Anyway, it's not relevant. That issue's moot. It's dead.
Right.
It'll have no part in this court hearing, this trial. So, Lana, her, and a few others are making a big issue of it. This is where they could show themselves to be smarter than me. But my understanding of these proceedings, that's not even an issue or questioning. It's already been asked, answered, and settled. They will accept that as a tip. The defense. Right. So how they got to a tip is not important now. Do you see me? What I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
If this gets to trial.
It has to go to trial as far as I'm concerned. It needs to be seen and heard by everybody, every bit of it.
He should be out on bond awaiting trial, but would he and his family be safe with these lunatics out here on social media?
Absolutely, probably not.
Look at nothing half-assed is looking up. What a dirty girl she is. Perfect.
It is funny.
Oh my God.
Hey, Charlotte.
Look at Thomas Sharp.
Good to see you guys. Thomas is Charlotte.
I don't know if they're walking him into a tip trap. I think I don't think so. Listen, the bottom line is how they got to Koberger. Let's just say it was a dream. It was a psychic.
Yeah.
But the problem is that wherever that tip came from, it don't pan out because you can't put Brian at the house.
Yeah,
and look at the tip. I don't think that rightly so that law enforcement should be involved in providing tips when they did physical work to come up with a name. That's the argument that I don't know that she made effectively throughout all of this. Right? You can't tell me that you're look at if you get a rebound on a basketball court and you throw it to Michael Jordan, who dunks it, you get credited with an assist. Okay? Jordan dunked that ball only because you were able to get him that ball to dunk.
Well, yeah.
Okay? And in the legal circles, I just think a few of the arguments that she's made, she's a good lawyer. The context of the argument should have been slightly different. And she may have gotten some better results with it.
Very
Especially
possible.
the Fourth Amendment argument. She really got rolled over on that. Let's see this. No coffee, Dago. For whatever reason.
I had more than enough today and yesterday combined, so I'm good. I've laid off a little bit today.
Thomas Sharp, you have one person too many in your picture. Move it to the left. They are putting Payne on the stand to testify to show they got to Koberger.
Well, they didn't do the whole thing that they put out there about building the tip, taking the tip and building a tree and doing this and doing all that. I think that's the point Annie was trying to make. Which what you said at the point there, it doesn't really matter, but
no. Has anybody heard Get a Clue lately? I know he lost his mind about a week ago and said Brian did it.
I thought he was gone.
His name is Murphy's Law or something now, or Murphy Knows All, or I don't know.
Oh, okay, that would be why. So he flipped out and said Brian did it, huh?
Yeah.
I
don't know if it was serious or not.
Well, maybe it finally got to him.
Well, you know what? Hang on a second. Are these images from that's I wonder if those images have times and dates on them. I think the biggest piece of exoneration are the images they put in that make model chart. Not even exoneration, I mean the mitigation of any of them vehicles being a part of the crime.
Right.
Murphy and Viv were talking. I don't know who Viv is. Do you know who Viv is?
I don't. Sorry, folks, I don't.
Yeah, you're right. The Pullman police could have got his DNA because all they sent to the lab was a swab. They didn't send the sheath.
Yeah.
Who's Viv? Viv showed up in court looking like a hooker.
Was she sitting back there in the back next to AR?
I don't know who Viv is. Who is Viv, Susan?
I've never heard of her name before.
Vivienne,
What's her channel?
I don't know.
That's a new name.
We're only getting parts of a story.
Some of these guys follow a lot of people. I don't. I just you and me and a couple other people, and I'm good. But I did notice the group of people. The judge came out and practically said, "Yeah, she has a YouTube." Okay, was she the one sitting there next to AR and Jen, his wife, in the back?
For fuck's sakes, Vivian. Well, you're giving us just enough information to ask these questions, for fuck's sakes.
Viviana. I've never heard of the channel. I'm sorry, Suzanne. Like I said, I don't follow a whole lot of people. But I know Twiz was sitting over in the left-hand corner in the back. AR, his wife, Jen. She is a debunker.
I don't know who she is.
White shirt. Oh, yeah. That's who that was. I saw her.
Was she good looking, Dago? Because I could use some debunking. She's welcome to come up here.
By whose standards, Sarge? Yours, mine, or?
Well,
that's
a good looking is good looking, right? I don't have a special definition for it. Some people are good looking. Some
I don't really look
regular. I mean, I'm like an average looking guy. You're an average looking guy.
I don't know. She's not my type, so I can't give that preference for her.
Susan's for fuck's sake in the hell out of us. She's like, for fuck's sake. Well, I will fuck just for the sake of it, Susan, if that's what your point. I don't know what you're asking or saying, Susan.
I wasn't really paying attention to anybody else.
Oh my God, you're into big false teeth. I love chiclets as long as they can come out and I could get the gumbo.
That I do know, so yes.
Chiclet teeth. I'm getting teeth replaced, Dago.
Yeah,
I'm getting surgery on 2 of them done.
I'm getting it done too. Don't worry.
Yep, it's not that bad of a procedure.
I only need a top bridge put in, so that's what I'm doing.
I'm getting the individual replacement on 5 teeth.
Yeah, the implants.
Yeah, because I had two of them. They were bad.
I'm just going with the top piece because the bottom teeth are perfect, and I'm not getting my face drilled with metal yet. She can be abrasive, okay. Oh, I know who you're talking about now. Bibion. Okay, gotcha.
You know who she is?
Yeah, I don't really watch her, but I know who she is. I've seen her a couple times.
Okay, I don't know who she is. And now that she's got
You'd
big false
probably
teeth, I probably wouldn't be
you
interested.
would probably like her, yeah.
Well, no, she got the big old false teeth. False boobies are okay, but not teeth.
Well, I mean, they come
Right?
out.
They do come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But damn, can you imagine?
Dentures.
I'd have fucking nightmares. She chased me around my house or something.
The only person in that courtroom that I have remotely any interest in is Ann Taylor.
She is snap on TikTok teeth. She's a biggin. Yeah, I don't
She's a
get into the
bigot.
biggins.
Well, that's true. He doesn't.
Snap in teeth, and she's a biggin. That's more than 3 strikes. You can't. The United Auto Workers could strike, and it still isn't raised to the level of the strikes you've just listed. Nothing half-assed says you probably would. Not me. Let's not confuse old Sarge. I'm particularly shallow in that department. Let's be real.
He doesn't do the bigger. No,
I don't do biggins. No,
not at all.
no. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I got a buddy, a friend, and I showed pictures of this in the stream of his wife, and her elbow to her shoulder. I don't know what you call that part of their arm. Whatever part of everybody's arm that is bigger. Is bigger than my torso. And somebody the other day I was talking to her because we're all this circle of people. And they said she lost 150 pounds. I said, so she must have slimmed down her feet or something because ain't no one going to notice 150 pounds. The woman had to weigh 600 pounds. 150 is just going to, if it took it off evenly, you wouldn't notice it. And the only way you would notice it if like it came out of her head or something. In other words, if this woman lost 150 pounds in one place, everybody would notice it. But in general, her losing 150 pounds, it would not alter her real life appearance.
Junie, what are you doing?
We're getting donuts.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're a mess. You are a mess.
Boobs on the ground. She's calling that girl a gas. She's for fuck's sake.
I just saw that. Damn, Suzanne. Why don't you tell us how you really feel?
People come in here and they just start unloading on everything.
It's all good.
Unreal. So what movie did you see tonight, Dago?
We watched oh Jesus, what was it? The Minecraft movie.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it. That's fine.
Yeah, it came on my I pick up new movies on my streaming app stuff, so it was all right.
Cool.
It had Jack Black in it. He irritates me, but
who?
Jack Black.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I don't care for him either.
He's all right, but he's just too much sometimes.
He makes his money in all these animated movies.
He makes his money, period. He just acts like an idiot. That's all. He jumps around, slams, kicks, and that's it. He's done. It was all right. It's good for kids. She wanted to watch it. We watched it. We're good. Massoff. You know what? I didn't like her, Norma. I didn't like her at first.
Who's Massoff? Who's that?
Alyssa. She's on the defense team. The short, dark-haired woman.
Oh.
The one that made those 2 big statements. I didn't like her until those statements. And I was like, she impressed me.
And we were corrected the other day when we said that lawyer that was just the Fed was going to be this case. And everybody's like, no, he's just there for jury selection. Apparently not.
No.
He is now managing this case, or at least a big part of it.
Yes. Josh Hurtle? Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. Officer Hearsay. That's what I'm going to call him. So anyway, that case is being beat to death, and the horse, for some reason, gets resurrected, and we just keep beating it.
Oh, yeah. It's every time there's new stuff put out. Yeah.
Excuse me. It's quite the case. She had some balls for sure. Yeah, that little woman going after Hitler.
She don't care. Those two have clashed from day one. I don't know if there's a past there, if there's been some stuff, I do like that movie, Christopher, but I'm not a fan of his. But no, from day one they've clashed. First time they met up and she spoke to him, they clashed. You could see it and the tension there, but she doesn't care. She has no fear of him. As I feel like Anne's kind of intimidated by him a little bit. I don't want to say intimidated. She backs down to him a little bit. Alyssa doesn't seem to do that. Judge Hitler. and she didn't
Yeah,
do
they
that.
kind of. I think they have a history. These two.
They
somehow.
have something there. Yeah, there's something there.
Not any kind of like nefarious affair history, but work history.
No. Just a work history, I think.
Yeah, and I
Yeah, he did, and I think that's what that's all about, Suzanne. He mentioned that
Wow.
that short little dark-haired lady, Alyssa Massoth, has appeared before him before, and that they have had things, basically hinted around that they've experienced each other
right.
maybe negatively before, and I knew, you know what I mean? So it was definitely evident there was some kind of
Maybe I don't. You know what? I mean, that may be an example of my spectrum, where I don't really care and I don't give a fuck how people react to their body language. I think that that's a distraction.
you don't at all. You never have.
Yeah,
You don't pay
as I
attention. That's why you don't pay attention to that shit. So
maybe that's why I don't pay attention to it. Yeah,
that's
that
100%
could
what
be
I
that.
believe. If you know this guy, you'll know that. It's okay though, because he does other things that are more important. Yeah, she's a federal. What he usually does, what the hell was it? Hitler usually covers the hell type of cases are those?
Appellate, isn't it?
Yeah. No, not appellate.
Wasn't
Sorry.
he an appellate lawyer or judge?
It's another type of stuff that it's a regular thing for him. I can't remember what the hell it was.
Probably fucking
Come on.
divorce court.
Where's Heather at? Throw it out there, Heather. No, it wasn't domestic. It was
Medical malpractice.
that's it. Thank you, Suzanne. Malpractice shit. Yeah.
So he's a civil law fucking attorney or judge.
Whatever medical malpractice is, yeah.
Well, that would be. I imagine it could be criminal, but often that's civil.
I thought so too. I mean, there are criminal versions of it, but
I like the porterhouse the best because it gives you the biggest cut of tenderloin. Along with it.
She said he was a civil judge. There you go.
Yeah,
And he's
see?
always kind of leaned into the prosecution's direction. So
That's what I mean. I don't even know, and I just see what you guys say, and I'm able to understand it, and then give you an answer. You see what I mean about mirror, mirror on the wall? Sarge is the smartest of all. I don't get it.
I
Why
mean,
people have a hard time with that?
it was till I got here, but I mean, that's why he brought me in here today to balance this out, you guys.
Right. Me and Dago have had a battle of wits, and when I entered the battlefield, he was nowhere to be found.
Oh, okay. That's what happened.
That's what happened. That's the story, and I'm sticking to that.
Yeah, I'll let you have your story. You're my elder, and I respect you. We'll put it that way.
What the hell? Yeah, see, so that's what I said. He was involved with civil law. A civil judge, which I don't know if that's the best thing to have in a criminal court case.
I was gonna say that. It seems kind of off-putting for me, but I mean, hey.
Because you're and in that case, listen, he's used to listen, let me just say that too, folks. That actually explains his behavior towards the defense.
Yeah, that's why they
because
said
he's always in line with the prosecution, going after some corporation, and the corporate lawyers putting on this big spiel with a bunch of bullshit, and you eventually get jaded from that.
That's exactly what I think the point was when it was brought up, and it was claimed by a lot of people that he's always been in line with the prosecution, and it's going to be rough with this one because that's what he's used to. So I don't know.
I don't know that Ann Taylor somebody said needs more help. I'm not so sure.
Well, I think she needs help going through all that discovery. I'll say that, but it's 3 years worth of shit. There's no way she's going to get through that.
I don't see them as women. I see them as attorneys until after the hearing. We don't men, women. We don't want to get into all of that in here, for God's sake.
No.
Even though men are generally smarter than women, it's just one of those discussions you want to avoid, Dago.
Here, let me scoot over a little bit.
It goes like here.
I'm gonna slide away from you a little bit.
I shall be back, he says.
Yeah, I'm gonna move. Where are you at? Let's see.
Man, and I you were on that panel where Jules went after me and calling me Dot. And it took 2 years for that shit to come forward that I was accurate in my statements.
I know.
I know you don't like that drama, but I just like pointing it out because I still shake my head over it all. Like, I don't know what people think I have some motive here, or I have a horse in the race, or I'm not trying to prove I'm the smartest guy in the room. It speaks for itself.
I think it's just because you're so sure of yourself, and you have every right to be. When it comes to the things you're right about, that's what I've always respected about you and known about you. And when somebody thinks that you're wrong because you are out front and I don't want to say forceful, but you're a matter of factly right there in people's spaces sometimes, they probably take it threateningly, and that's probably where that comes from. That's my opinion, I'm saying. But
Could be. It could be.
you know what I mean? That's all it
Yeah.
is. It's
That's what I
in a
mean.
sense,
People hate me, and they love to hate me, or they love me.
well,
Yeah,
it's
she called me
yeah.
Dot. She called me Dot, that fucking goofball that I tore apart in a stream. But is everything Dot said inaccurate? I don't know, but she changed her story 3 times from the fucking
Oh,
balcony to the fucking. She
she's
was
not
out
even
back, and
Dot.
then she was out there smoking with him.
Yeah,
Right?
she did whatever she tailored her story to whatever would fit with what people wanted to hear is all she did, because she wasn't the right person. She wasn't a real person. She was a TikToker. So we went and proved that clearly. Took us 2 days, but we all 3 of us proved it.
Yeah,
So
jewels of all trades. And then when I confronted her to apologize, she felt that me swearing. I was like, "What the fuck? How the fuck could you call me that?" And it was my response and using the word "fuck" that gave her the motive to say, I'm not going to apologize to someone that talks to me like that." But it's okay to attack me and compare me to the worthless biggest piece of shit in all of this. Dot. That's. I would rather be called a swear word than Dot. What about you, Dago?
yeah,
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
yeah, the people are just fucking. They make me laugh. Right?
I
I mean,
just don't
I
let I
didn't
just
I
don't
didn't
let
make that
everybody.
public. I didn't make. It was on CJ's stream, I think, that happened,
Yeah, it was.
and it was over the 3 places on the sheet that were swabbed. And
Yeah.
that's when me and you put it on your stream, and I put up the documentation.
It was because Dot was putting out misinformation left and right, and that's where the inference came from, is to referring to that. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, Sergeant Friday was making up stories and creating yeah, that fucking shit was funny, man. But anyway, I rival in the fact that as time passes, I'm generally shown to be accurate. And and at least I like talking with Eddie, because Eddie is cautious, and he wants, and he's got the documentation, which in that one case showed me, it corrected me, which was
hmm
nice. And that there
Eddie
was a
has
glove,
everything.
not gloves, you know?
You want to know something that's funny? Is Eddie's documentation consists of a notebook and a pen. He wrote it all down. He doesn't have actual documents. He will refer to them, but everything is in his notes, Sarge. And that man, I've never seen anybody take such perfect notes in my life.
No, I like Eddie for that capacity,
Yeah, he's very thorough, very concise, and just it's all there. He's got it all. You can find anything you want going through him.
Drunk
Drunk
chicken.
chicken, forensic flake, and of course Viv. Forensic flake. Who's that?
Forensic frenzy.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
the chicken, man. I'm telling you, that dude. I'm kind of disappointed. I used to be able to talk to him, and I don't think I could have a conversation with him now, because he won't even think about anything other than it's just he did it. That's all there is. Boom, we're done.
Yeah.
You gotta open your mind a little bit more, bud.
It's not even open your mind. It's you got to show something that makes that statement fair.
Or at least, yeah. I mean, right. That's it right there.
It
And
don't
I
even
used
have
to
to be,
have,
it's got to be a statement where, and I'm less critical of the police and the officers in this court than everybody else.
yeah,
And I've literally been the victim of the system
right.
in my life, literally through anyway. But the point is, I still give people the benefit of the doubt and ignore their personalities and listen to the info.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's what matters, is the information. Is the personality may impact the jury, your presentation to the jury. And I know it does, but I think facts should trump that. And
Oh, of
oftentimes we've
course.
been conditioned to not look at the facts in that way. We don't hear what Hitler's saying because we don't like Hitler. And that's just so anti-information, so anti-thinking, that it's not even funny.
But you got to get past that. If you're going to be in this realm and
Right.
genre and follow this stuff, you got to be able to look past all that shit, guys. I mean, it's a fact. There's a lot of
And
people I don't like, and I still listen to what they're saying just to see if it makes any sense.
well, more people in the jury are going to be like the people we see here on these streams.
Yeah,
And that to me is just a threat to justice.
it truly is. And I even with the change of venue, I don't think it's
No.
gonna make a damn bit of
I
difference.
wish they wouldn't have changed the venue.
At this point, neither do I, because I think it would have worked out better to be able to bring forth the things that the defense needs to.
I think that community would have responded in a way that may have been unique because it would see the inefficiency and the bullshit of its own law enforcement agency.
Yeah. Well, a
Right?
lot of them already know that. A lot of them that live around there, they truly already know that. And it would have brought to the surface what you believe the theory behind this could be, is that this is just what they've done. That's what they do. In turn, here we are again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And everybody in that lives in that community could go, oh shit, well, here we go again.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, I don't suspect they're doing this to protect a corrupt act or other criminals. Or
well,
I think what they're doing is just a habitual view of I'm God and you're a citizen.
I'm gonna
And they're
say,
putting together their story.
yeah, I'm gonna say that I think that what they could be doing is protecting a corrupt mistake. Okay. And that what I mean by that is it is still corruption to me, but it was a mistake or mistakes that were made that in turn, due to going back to what Sarge's theory is, the laziness and the complacency of the department and doing what they've done for the past 35 years without changing anything or looking at it any other way. Well, this is not like every other case we've covered, boys. We made a mistake here, and now we need to make it look good. That's how I think this is playing out, in my opinion. So, not that it's and I respect Eddie. Eddie sees this as a full-blown 3-alarm frame job. Everybody's involved. Everybody knows about it. I respect him. I respect that. I don't see it that way personally.
See, and here's where I don't disagree with that, but I disagree on the motive. See,
That's
I
what
don't disagree with their actions being interpreted that way. What I'm saying is I don't think they're doing it to protect the drug cartel or the college. I don't
think
believe that that's the motive at all. What I believe is this corrupt frame job isn't in their mind a frame job. This is actual trained police work, and the result that you get from that training is what you're seeing, and these people believe it.
day-to-day business there.
They
Yeah.
literally believe it. That what they're doing is what they're doing and it's right, and that this car is his car. They believe that. Not because of a fact, but because they believe. Just like I keep trying to tell people online. Stop believing in information. If it can't be a verifiable piece of information, it's not relevant. And police are trained. They're above. You're the that's a citizen. Stand back, citizen, like you see in those RoboCop movies.
Yeah,
They're literally trained to be above us.
agreed.
Not the humble servants of us, but above us. That's the corruption.
Yeah.
And they're not aware that it's corrupt, Dago. They're in a system to which they're doing what they were trained to do. So how could they be wrong in what they're doing?
Because they're so used to it, right? Yeah.
Right.
That's how they learned. That's how they do it. That's what it is to them. It doesn't mean in their mind they're not doing anything wrong. We're seeing it from the outside going, no, that's not how you do this, but that's how they do it. So
right.
I am curious though. I don't know. My mind is flip-flopping all over the place here, and it has been for a few days, but that about the other possible suspects and things like that are going to be coming out, I think, soon. And I really, really would be interested to see how that plays out because of the way it's all happened so far.
It's going to be linked to the DNA.
And oh, well, yeah, it has to be. But as to who now, and that's what I'm saying, depending on who, because it was clearly stated in their document. She didn't even have to say it, that Mr. Koberger is ready and willing to bring forth multiple alternative suspects that actually make more sense. And again, these are my terms, are closer to the victims than Koberger, being that Koberger had no connection at all, but has the ability to be closer to the victims than he does, which really caught my attention. So based on that, I'm curious to see who this is going to be. Now, if it pops up to be a certain few type of people within this realm of people from that area, my theory may change about motive and how and who. So that's all I'm saying. If they pop up with some names that we've heard in the past, Yeah, I have a feeling that my theory could change a little.
Well,
But
she's going to get professionals on the stand and she's going to ask them questions like, knowing this particular fact, knowing this fact, would you have pursued this suspect as being involved in this crime? And she's
Right.
going to get people to understand the question, and they're going to come back with answers like, absolutely. How could you not?
Right.
And that's where she's going to get her third party defense.
I got you.
And it's going to be based, it has to be based off of fact. And all that DNA at the scene is factual.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Or they wouldn't have collected it. That's what I said in the beginning. Remember? The cops are Brian's best alibi.
Oh, of course, yeah.
People that did the investigation are, in fact, they contain the information that'll set him free.
Yep. And you think that Hitler's going to cover what up, Lenore?
Who's Al? Say that again.
She said, I think that Hitler's going to cover that up. And I was just wondering what she was meaning exactly.
Yeah, Hitler's not covering anything up.
I think Al might be one of the names.
Yeah, who's Al?
Al.
Adam L. And
Adam?
I don't know. Who's Al? Can you define who that is there?
Thinking
Willy
right now.
Wonka?
I can't. What was Adam's last name? I can't remember it, Sarge.
I don't know. I don't know if that's Adam. That Al is a part of it. Adam. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is. I guessed, and I was right. Look, because that's the name I remember being spoken. Adam.
Yeah, he could be. There's others that could be as well. Oh, Louder. That's right. Thank you, David.
Adam Louder. Thanks very much. Lambda.
Yeah, there's three
Louder
other
or Lambda?
I've been told by a bunch of people today, throughout my emails and throughout our stream earlier. Lambda. Okay. That DB are some initials they think could come out. That David Baracoa. Yeah, him. And who's the other kid that was friends with him, guys, that was in the frat with them? He's an asshole too. The hell's the kid's name?
Yeah, he won't be able to hide the other DNAs, and that can't be hidden by the court, because that's the purpose of that's why all these cases get overturned on DNA evidence.
Right. What is the other guy's name that was in the frat that was friends with Baracoa?
Spell the word
David Loach. That's it right there. That guy right there.
David Loach. So AL, it's okay. We know who you're talking about. She said, and that walk back. I told Adam, right? Who did you tell?
Yep.
Adam. I told him everything. What did you
say to Adam? And she said, I said everything. I told him everything.
Yeah.
I swear that has something to do with this. I always have. And, I'm going to go along with something that Sarge said a while back. That involving the knife sheath and the placement of it and where it may have come from, and a couple of these names that have been thrown around here, and the fact that there was a fight earlier in that night, and that would be a good reason to have personal protection. I'll put it that way. And I can imagine that if there was something that broke out earlier on that could have continued on as people got home, that it could have started off as just people showing up, getting into a fight, and guess what?
Right. I'm sorry, but I think that knife was always part of that crime scene. It was not brought in from the outside.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going along with. What's saying that it was kept there as protection for somebody. Yes.
And I suspect it was at this point, the more information is revealed, that it had belonged to Maddie. Because Maddie was on the third floor alone, and her best friend Bethany no longer lived in that house.
Right.
And it was found under Maddie and Maddie's bed.
Okay? And that's clear. It was underneath her, so therefore,
I suspected it belonged to Maddie.
It was in a position that somebody that goes to bed would have something like that in protection of themselves.
Yeah, a young woman for sure.
Yes, could have pulled it and tried to use it to defend herself, and or somebody did, and it was taken from them and used against them.
Right, and that makes a lot of sense.
It does. It makes a whole lot of sense.
I think the whole crime scene makes more sense when you look at it from an internal struggle amongst the people that were in the home, which doesn't exclude people from the outside that were pre-positioned there.
Well, and that's the thing is Sergeant or Chief Fry stated in the very first or second press conference, and nobody remembers this, some do, but not everybody, that he said it clear as day. There were other people in that house that night, and I stuck with that. And I do believe that there were people that either were in the house hanging out like they always did when people came home, or they just came into the house after everybody was there because they always did that too. Like it was no big deal. I don't think anybody was in there hiding and waiting to jump out and attack somebody. I think they were there. They were known. They were okay to be there until something happened. And something broke out and it got carried away. That's what I think truly happened.
I can't wait to hear her arguments on the third parties.
Yeah, I agree.
But it won't be based on if it connects to drug truck or it connects to Banfield. It's going to not connect it in any ancillary dreamy way with this pixelated photo. It won't be a reflection off the moon of Ethan getting pissed on. It's going to be facts that she prevents that tie these people to being potentially involved with this crime.
Right.
Facts. And the only facts that we can really depend on, I think, honestly, would be the DNA that's been ignored.
Chris, do me a favor and go into Google, just out of curiosity. I did this once already. Go into Google and look up what are the statistics of people under 25 that own a U.S. Marine Corps K-bar knife and see what it gives you. There's a lot.
Yeah. Well, a woman's weapon of choice, especially for protection, is a knife.
Yep.
They don't carry guns like the kids do, the young guys do.
And there's so many of these knives that were purchased. A lot. It's a top seller. And it's crazy. It's crazy how many people have purchased that specific knife as compared to all the other ones that are out there. I don't know if it's because it has the Marine Corps markings on it. It's not the best knife out there by any means. It's really kind of a crappy knife in some senses, but still. And, you know, I think it's because it is military issued that people think it's one of the best things out there. So they get it for protection for whatever else they use.
That's a good observation here. Look at Blackwood Beats and Outlaw Rhythms. I agree with that. Look at it. Same thing happened when I was paying attention to politics. And I said that to people, that the people that framed Trump and the people that worked with the people that made the story that he pissed on Obama's bed and he was a Russian spy.
Yeah.
The people that did that were going to be people that weren't part of the narrative.
Gotcha.
Never were they part of the narrative. And in fact, what ended up coming true was that statement that who we know now in the FBI that did that were people that were never mentioned in any report or any media.
And that's a great point, Backwood. I mean, you're probably right on point with that, to be honest with you. But still.
You definitely wouldn't skin a deer with it. No, a K-bar knife, unless a good edge is held by stainless steel. That's why you have surgical stainless steel.
Yeah.
That metal holds an edge. Forged metal does not hold an edge long.
I think people buy it though because of what it is. It's lightweight for one. It looks cool.
It's intimidating.
And it is intimidating, but people know that it's got that stamp on it. They think it means something. I think it's garbage, truly. I won't use that. I have a good old fashioned. I have a pocket knife, and I have a gift that was given to me that's got a bone handle and all that kind of stuff, and it's way stronger because, like you said, Sarge, the blade, okay, stainless, it lasts better and longer.
Yeah, a stainless steel blade really has an edge that stays because stainless, you can't even. Stainless steel is a hard metal. That's so. And that will hold an edge. Where when you take and you see this forged in fire, and you're seeing them beat these blades out of old ball bearings, which are forged steel.
Yep,
they're good knives. They're strong knives, but the fact that they're made of the metal they're made of doesn't hold edge for a long time.
No, and this thing I'm talking about, you're right. It holds that edge in that blade. I hardly ever have to sharpen this thing, and I use it for quite a bit. So.
Right. And that Forged in Fire, folks, if you ever watched that show, you'll see just how much durability a knife contains, but you'll also see that durability is compromised the rougher you use it. And the edge goes away.
Right. And
The
that other
more
knife,
with the right, if you're gonna chop a coconut in half, that affects the edge. The sharpness of the edge can roll a microscopic roll to the edge. You can't see it, but it happens on all of these blades. So if this person used one knife throughout this entire episode, I'd be stunned. If
well,
there's nothing chipped off the tip of that, there isn't a
that's
piece
what I
of
was going to say is those K bars are known to break too.
yeah.
So that's another thing with ribs and bones and things, especially with multiple stab wounds. I'm surprised it didn't chip or break. That's something that
Right.
surprised me.
Yeah, it's
And that was
tragic.
debunked to be a photoshopped picture, Cricket. Somebody photoshopped that.
What's that?
Which that stupid picture with Dylan holding that machete looking type knife. That was fully photoshopped, they found.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy, this whole situation. I think she's going to have a between his physical condition, between their lack of being able to connect him, and it. What I said in the beginning, all of this stuff was a theory,
Yep.
an unsupportable theory of the movement of that vehicle. If in fact it's the same vehicle, there's no way to say that you're seeing headlights. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
Well, it's consistent with that vehicle if it drove that way. Well, you know what's consistent too? My grandmother would be a bicycle if she was born with wheels. You fucking twits. Right? I mean, there's verifiable fact that you need to present to convict somebody, not these crazy conspiracy theories they're using here. And Daniel what Daniel said, the guy had blood in his hair in that selfie.
That was the dumbest shit I've heard yet.
That's awesome. That shows you just that drunk would be a better state of fucking existence for that kid. That's
just stupidity. I mean, it's obvious that there's not. You're looking, and I mean, come on. That whole thing was so immature. Look at his knuckles and his hands, and his hair's got blood. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Is it that serious? Does it have to be him that bad to you? Is your life going to end if it doesn't happen with him? Get over
I
this.
just don't see the argument that the state has other than, well, the DNA argument's pretty much dead too.
Yeah.
That tiny DNA won't convict him, Steve. It's circumstantial.
That is true.
And then you showed a crime scene work that they did.
I don't think that DNA will convict him. I don't
either. I also think that people aren't really, if you're capable, let me just say, if you're capable of finding microscopic evidence and you flood the crime scene with people in fucking windbreakers and unchangeable booties, okay, there goes your whole crime scene. Because it's transfer DNA. If it were blood, this argument wouldn't be relevant. But all the blood DNA, this is why I'm stunned that they didn't chase these blood samples to the millionth degree. Because that is more reputable than transfer DNA. And you need a microscopic sample. And that one lady wants to argue with the quantity of it, 160 micropixels. The fuck is the jury's going to roll their eyes? And then when Ann says, well, what? If you claim to have the capacity to sort that out, why didn't you sort through the blood? Well, it wasn't given to us. Well, were you aware of it? Yeah. Why didn't you ask for it? That's not our job. And she's going to look at the jury.
And I think she's got something else up her sleeve for that. I do. Hey, Mark and Betty.
It's insane. Wasn't someone eating a sandwich? The sheath is a red herring. I think the car is a red herring. I think Kohlberger's a red herring.
I agree. And I also agree with Walkinian stating that emotion will be the deciding factor. Unfortunately, I do agree with that. I think that that's what they're going to play on. The prosecution is going to play on everybody's emotions, and that's where it's going to come out.
Yeah.
What's up, Virginia?
Yeah, it's just insane. You can't go looking for a microscopic particle if you're going to be dressed like some fucking guy that just came back from the bar. You just jumped out of bed. You're some I'm a FBI agent. And I'm in there with my fucking elbow in my face, sneezing into it. I'm dropping gloves on the ground outside, picking them up, putting them back in the box. I mean, come on, lady. Don't fucking treat a crime scene like the food you eat, you big blimp. Get some professionalism around you. I don't know. Maybe work boots, blue jeans, and windbreakers are all you need to find microscopic information.
You know, I don't know, guys, and I hope to God after this case comes and goes, I pray to God we don't ever see another one like this because I can't handle another one like this.
No, I mean it's transfer DNA. There's it's no longer considered contact or touch by the scientific community.
Right.
They understand what transfer DNA is, and it can your DNA can be transferred across multiple people and end up in places you can't even dream of.
That's it.
Right?
It can end up in another state within an hour.
The DMV you went to yesterday, your DNA could be on her coochie. You wouldn't know.
This is true.
Right?
True.
Could be on her husband's willy whacker.
Guys, the other case, if you haven't seen that case yet, you need to look at it. Just check it out. I never remember the names, but it entails a paramedic and a situation, an emergency scene as a first responder that responded to, and that whole thing broke down. It was unbelievable, and it absolutely happened the same way.
Yeah.
I can't remember the names, but I'll find it one of these days and pull it back up to show you guys how easy it can happen. And it involved a paramedic transferring somebody from one scene to another, and that's all it took. It's unreal.
Yeah, and look I want to say something that's going to piss a lot of people off. Maybe more transgenders commit homicide and mass murderers than autistic people. Autistic people are generally the victim of this kind of shit.
True.
We're not the ones out there killing you. And be grateful, because 1 in 59 of us are on the spectrum. So, yeah, there's a lot more of us than there are transgenders. But go look at all these school shootings and murders and killings. You'll see, you know, when you talk about mental derangement, how many of these people are actually from that ilk of thinking. And you know, the idea that people on the spectrum can be a threat to you. I mean, we got decades to show that no, you guys are more of a threat to us than we are to you.
You guys see that case that just happened where they just a 17-year-old autistic kid was rolling around in his front yard with a knife. Police pulled a gun, shot him. Now his legs have to be amputated and all that other shit because nobody thought before they did what they did. So that tells you he was having an episode. He didn't have his medication or something like that, and that's all it was. And of course, we feared for our life. They got out of the car with the guns in their hands. They knew what they were doing. Completely misunderstood. Autistic people are absolutely.
Amanda Knox in Italy was convicted and it was overturned. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of cases where transfer DNA were used, but the convictions are generally overturned because of presence of other unidentified DNA within the crime scene. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you can get a conviction on transfer DNA.
But
again, you got to show this guy in that house unequivocally was in that home.
Yeah.
And the idea that he didn't transfer any of his DNA, any of his fibers, any of his hair, any of anything anywhere in that crime scene is stunning. And yet there's 6 or 7 other samples of people that have transferred blood, and they're not relevant.
Yep.
Come on, man.
Brian Koberger has never been, in my opinion, ever stepped foot in that house. Not once. No. Ever.
He didn't even know it existed.
Exactly. That house was nothing to him. And in my opinion, neither were those people. So that's exactly the why this bugs me so much.
Not all autistic are passive. I become known for my violence at times in my earlier years, but we're passive until we actually find a situation where you have to act.
There's a trigger for that, though. That's the difference with most. Okay. Yeah. Like with my son, he's very passive, very calm, very relaxed until something triggers him. And then he can be super angry at any given second. Okay. So it is normal, but not violent, just angry.
Right.
He's never been violent.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how anybody
the violence side that's scared. Violence kind of scares him. It triggers him in another way. So
I think he got picked to take the fall. I don't know that he was picked as much as they saw information that just didn't fit with normal acts, and not realizing that the person that they're keeping an eye on is somebody on the spectrum. And I can't even tell you guys how many times I drive this route with my car. I got,
Yep.
I mean, I could go anywhere I want with the car, but I always find myself driving in the same areas with the car. Sometimes I try
Repetitive.
to take a different way to get there, but I end up in the same place.
My son
And
is
it's
the
normal
same
for me.
way.
It's down by the beach. And I go there all the time.
Repetitive actions. It's normal.
And I enjoy doing it. Most people say, "Well, why don't you go somewhere else in the car? Why don't you drive
It's
over?" Well,
it's because it's comfortable, Sarge.
it's familiar, and I enjoy it.
My son, if he could, would wear the same 3 outfits to school every day. Okay? And we've had to work with him his whole life to get him to change his
Bro, I'm
clothes
like
right.
that too, man. I just bought 16 shirts, and I bought 6 pair of jeans.
Mm-hmm.
And I took my closet and threw it away. I do
Yep.
that every few years.
Yep.
And but all my shirts are the same style and the same colors.
And that's my son wants to wear
There's
the
a gray, there's a red, there's a blue, there's a black, there's a
Caden wants to wear hoodies, the hooded sweatshirts, and I don't care if it's 85 degrees outside. That's what he wants to wear, and he will wear. They're either blue, red, or black. That's the only colors he wants to wear, and it's jeans or shorts. That's it.
Yeah, we'd rather be left alone. That's why we do better when we like myself. I have time to be alone. People are like, "Don't you get lonely?" And you think to myself, I don't want to be around you motherfuckers. Lonely. No such thing as that for me. I'm never lonely. I mean, I got a house cleaner. It's been an ex-girlfriend that's been doing my house cleaning. And it's just, I mean, if I didn't need the house cleaned, I wouldn't have this person come in my house. So, I mean, yeah, she's an ex-girlfriend. Yeah, she's cute, but, enough. Get it done and get the hell out of here. And she's been dragging this on for a month. I don't know if she thinks I'm going to propose to her or let her live here. So I don't know what the hell she thinks. I don't want to know.
Maybe she
I just want to get it over with.
Maybe she just likes your company, Sarge. You're like,
I'm sure she does, because you know something, Dago? The strangest thing about me is I'm probably the most childish adult you'll ever meet. And I have a big affinity for, like, when I get my Alexis to say, my balls itch.
I know.
Right? And I do a lot of very goofy, childish things because I enjoy it. I don't put on any pretense or any of that nonsense in life. It's like, it's just weird. Is that
I've done
autism
it before. I've done it I've asked Alexa out on a date to see what she'd say to me.
What'd she say?
I can't respond to that or some shit like that. Or something about she doesn't know how to do that or something. It's funny though. I mean, the things that'll make you smile are very few and far in between. So it doesn't take much. I know that much.
Yeah, and I'm watching that streaming service. I forget what I was watching. And you click skip because it gives you the option to skip intro.
Oh, well, I do that every time.
Yeah. Well, here's what's happening to me: is it throws you back to the original commercials.
Oh yeah.
And then brings you back to that screen again. And if you hit skip intro, it brings you back to. In other words, you're in an infinite loop.
Infinite loop. Yeah, I did that too before. I had to reset it one time because that was driving me nuts.
And so I'm watching TV and I mumble to myself. She goes, "What?" I said, "What the fuck good is a remote control with buttons? Pushing the buttons causes you grief."
Right.
She's like, I go, "I like push," and I said, "I like pushing buttons when they're available to be pushed. I push them." She's like, "You're fucked up." I go, "Yeah, whatever. I'm happy with myself though."
Yeah, that's it.
Don't tell me I could skip intro and then stick it to me.
Right.
And they've complicated TV beyond comprehension with this streaming.
Oh, well, they have.
And the commercials get louder than the show.
Yep. And you got to turn it up and down, but yes.
And Congress passed a law preventing networks from doing that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but this is streaming. It's different. And they're skirting that law. And my favorite commercial recently, I do have favorite commercials, is that Geico commercial with the scapegoat.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yep. Yeah,
I love that commercial. I sent that to a friend, and he goes, "Is there something wrong with you?" I mean, why ask an obvious? You know the answer is yes. So why ask?
Right.
Right. Hang on a second here.
Exactly.
Here we go, folks. This is my current present. Let's see if it lets me do it. There we go. Share. I can't help myself. Every time I see this, I break out in stupid giddy laughter. It's just
It is
stupid as
funny.
fuck commercial. I
It is
love the black woman. I want to meet her. She's so awesome, man. Watch this shit. Here we go, folks. My favorite commercial.
Who's responsible for this?
If something goes wrong, you find a scapegoat.
Rick.
It's what you do. Want to save 15% or more on car insurance? You switch to Geico. It's what you do.
Rick, don't walk away from me.
It is good. It's good.
Would you say to me? She's like, that black lady's awesome, bro.
Yes. It is funny as hell.
It's stupid.
I think I remember the first time I watched it. It was funny, but then when the goat screamed, I lost the shit laughing my ass off. It was great.
Yeah. I started doing that to this when she's asking me stuff. I try to make that goat scream.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
And then, listen, this is the other thing, too, and it's hard to cope, man. You guys have no idea how hard it is to just be me. Can't even imagine.
I bet.
Everything in my kitchen is in a different cabinet now. And it's crazy. You would think with my, I'm sorry, my braggadocious nature about being smart and my memory, you would think the plates being moved from the right to the left would make no impact and I would adjust to it quickly. But it's been 3 weeks and I can't stop myself from going back to those cabinets that they were in originally. It's annoying. I don't want my pans under the oven where that drawer is. I want my pans back in the cabinet where they used to be. But I don't want to move them while she's still doing the cleaning because I don't want her to get slighted. Right? I mean, the last thing you want to do is demoralize a worker. So it's absolutely crazy. I look for my steak knives or whatever. And look at Van Savant. Well, you guys have the issue of not having anything to do with me at all. I got to wake and go to sleep being me. You have no idea. Oh, man. So, it's crazy. I don't know. I don't know, man. I got the garbage in a different location than it was, and I'm always heading to where it was, and it's not there.
Smart water.
I'm telling you, folks, life is hard. It's hard to be me.
Smart water.
I should get, like, I don't know, those gold stars from the old days of the teacher would give you.
That's funny.
It's crazy, man. All right. Well, this is fun, Dago. I appreciate you coming up.
Yes, sir. I was late.
Yeah. Yeah, that we all the way home is a funny commercial, but that goat one's the best. The way that black lady pulls her glasses off,
Yes.
she wants to go kick his ass. I'm like, yeah.
It is funny as hell.
Oh my God. What'd you say to me?
Too funny.
Yeah, I don't know.
How much
Everything in
time?
this, that's
Go
the other
ahead.
thing too. We're entertaining ourselves into extinction.
Yeah. Yes.
Everything has got to be entertaining.
Yes. 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 Well, we become a very complacent, bored society because we were handed everything all at once. You know what I'm saying?
You know
Back
what?
in the day, we had to wait for a TV series. We had to wait every week to watch that new episode. Now we can watch everything when we want it. I can go find whatever the hell you tell me to watch right now. All sorts of stuff. I mean, everything's handed to us. There's nothing to wait on. There's nothing to look forward to.
You want to hear something crazy? Here's crazy, folks.
Schmott.
Compare your size to a grain of sand, right? And a
Mhm.
grain of sand is a very small thing, is it not?
It is.
Okay. Now compare your size to the earth, and you've become a very small thing.
Yes.
Compare your size to the sun. Compare your size to the solar system. Compare your size to the Milky Way. And now compare your size to the universe.
Mhm.
And we are, in fact, less. Much, much, much less than a grain of sand.
Absolutely.
Okay? Now imagine if the grain of sand started building skyscrapers and helicopters and fucking tanks.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just think about what we do. How we're on this machine, how we're talking, how we're interacting, how we advertise, how we buy and build and do these things. But imagine if your desert sand started doing that. You'd
Yep.
be freaked the fuck out.
You ain't lying.
Right? So we are, on the scale of a universe, a microscopic fucking gnat.
Right.
And yet we got elevators, we got stairs that move up and down, we got cars, trucks, planes, trains, we got electricity, we got lights, we got guns, we got fucking missiles, we got nuclear bombs, you can eradicate a planet. And look, in the scheme of things, we are literally as close to nothing as nothing can get.
Absolutely.
And yet, look at all these things that we've done.
That's right.
That to me is an amazing view of humanity.
It is. I agree. It is.
It's just fucking crazy. Now, I don't know if it all happened recently. My thinking is that this is just a repetitive cycle. Susan B is saying too much information. But you see a guy and you think 7 foot, he's 7 foot tall, he's giant. No, he's not. He's right alongside you on the grain of sand on a beach in the scheme of things, even smaller than that. We might even be considered a level of microscopic we don't even have a name for yet. And,
Right.
and the size of the universe. And we are part of this universe. So it's kind of crazy, man. That may be our saving grace as to why we're not noticed and the universe just doesn't dust us off. Right?
Right.
Look at these little gnats over here. And they blew up a whole planet where they can. We need to get rid of them people.
Yeah, truly we're insufficient little peons as
Yeah,
compared
we're
to
in the
everything
scheme of
else.
things. Absolutely.
That is a fact. That is a
Awesome.
fact.
All right. Well, Dago, I'm going to say goodnight. I'm not going to boot you. I'm going to let you step down.
I can do that.
I lied. To say that I can't lie would be a misdemeanor. Of course I can. And to the peeps in the audience, thanks for showing up. Thanks for hanging out. If you hit the like, I appreciate it very much. If you didn't hit the like, that's fine too. I don't give a fuck. And later, Gators.